Thank you for choosing JS Coaching Systems' free triathlon course. This course is great for beginners, intermediate, and even if you're an advanced racer, you will find some great information in this course. You're going to find the course broken down into 6 different segments with chapter markers for each segment. The first segment is going to be the basics. This is what is triathlon, what budget gear, how to find triathlons. The second segment is to help work on your swims. Third segment, bike. Fourth segment, runs. Fifth segment, what is a transition, how to do one, and maybe even a little bit on nutrition while you're doing your racing. Number 6 segment is going to be a sampling of some workouts that you can do. But remember, this course is sponsored by JS Coaching Systems 10-week for $10 sprint triathlon training plans or 10-week for $15 Olympic distance training plans. So stay right here because I can bring you some really great information. And remember though, you can come back over and over and finish this course. You're going to find all the information you need to race triathlons in one place. So here we go. You just heard about a triathlon and you really want to know what a triathlon is. Well, I'm Coach John Slocum. I'm a veteran of 15 years of racing and coaching, and I'm going to bring you this series of videos on what is a triathlon and how to get into triathlon racing. All right, everybody, I got a first timer right here. How do you feel after your first triathlon?
I feel great.
What is a triathlon? Let's stick to the basics. First off, a triathlon is a race that combines swimming, biking, and running. You will swim first, you will bike second, and you will run to finish it off. The triathlon is a test of endurance, versatility, and determination.
I was surprised that I was fine in the water. I felt like that was fairly easy.
But first, how did a triathlon actually come about? How did they decide that they were going to do this crazy swim, bike, run thing? It started off in the 70s out in California where a group of people put together this race where they were going to bike, run, and then swim, find out who is the most versatile athlete. The first official triathlon was held in 1974 in San Diego and has been growing and growing ever since.
The bike ride, I got a little bit tired halfway through.
So now that you know where triathlon came from, let's break it down and take a little closer look at each one of the disciplines. The swim comes first in the shortest triathlon, between 400 yards and 800 yards. Most triathlons happen in open water. You may be able to find a pool swim triathlon near you. They're far and few between, but most of the time they happen either in a lake, a river, or a body of salt water, the ocean, a gulf, a bay, a marina, somewhere like that. Next is the bike, and the biggest question people have is, what kind of bike am I allowed to ride? Well, you can ride either a triathlon bike, you can ride a road bike, a mountain or gravel bike, or you can ride a beach cruiser if you wanted to. As long as it's in the conventional bike position, you're not allowed to ride a recumbent. With the bike, you're going to go through a marked course for a set distance. Most of the shortest triathlons out there will have a bike ride somewhere between 9 and 20 miles as their bike course.
The run, I knew that I could use the rest in my tank and just slow and steady all the way in, so I feel good.
Then it's on to the run. You pull on your running shoes if the run is on a marked course. Most of the time, they are closed course areas. Most of the time in the shorter triathlons, the shortest triathlons, they are 5K or under. But how do you get from swim to bike, from bike to run? That's known as transition. The first transition from swim to bike is known as T1. The second transition from bike to run is known as T2. When it comes to transitioning from swim to bike, from bike to run, every second counts. Those count in your race time. You want to wear something that you can swim, bike, and run in, and there are specific triathlon suits or triathlon kits that are designed to do that job for you.
Did a good job.
I did.
It sounds like you did a great job.
Yeah, I feel great.
Congratulations on your first race.
Can you do your first triathlon with a $1,000 budget. Well, that's a challenge I've given myself. But here's the thing, I'm talking you have literally nothing except the ambition and $1,000. So now you think I'm nuts. This is a really expensive sport. A triathlon bike, you go out there to these triathlon races and you can see $10,000, $12,000 bikes. That's not the norm. You still see $2,000 bikes, and we only have $1,000, and we got to buy a bike too. So what I've done is I've kind of created a budget, and working with this budget, I've given myself the right numbers, I think, to get into that budget. So here's what I've got. Let's take a look right here. Bike budget, $350. Oh, I'm gonna have to do some searching for that. That one's gonna take a little bit of effort to get a bike in that $350 range. Entry fee, $100. It's about what it takes to get into a sprint triathlon now, is about a $100 bill. Pair of shoes, $100. Not a place to skimp. And then we're gonna have to buy a pair of good running socks because we don't want blisters. So that's gonna cost us another $10. Your brain box, your helmet. You have to have a good helmet. You've got to have a helmet that's approved and will keep you safe in case of an accident. I'm going to put down a budget of about $85 for a decent helmet. Your kit, which is what you're going to train and race in. We're going to look for a quality kit for around $100. Nutrition and hydration, we're going to buy and use this nutrition and hydration. I'm going to say our nutrition budget is going to be around $75. Water bottles, you're going to have those. $10 for 2 inexpensive water bottles. And you got to train. What are you going to do? You're going to go ahead and take a look down below in the description. You're going to see my 10 for $10 training plan. And what that is you're going to pay me $10 and I'm going to give you a 10-week training plan to get to your first triathlon, ready to start on the starting line to reach your stated goals. Sunglasses, we're going to need a pair of those. I'm going to go at about $30, and we're going to have to swim in the pool. I have a local pool I can get for $2 entry. That's $40 for pool rental. So here we go, on a quest to get good quality product, good safe product that's going to last, get you through a full season. So get ready. Here we go. Spend $1,000 or under and go to your first race. Hey, $1,000. We got to do some shopping. We got to check out the deals. Got my shopping list right here. Down here at Play Tri in Sarasota, Florida. Let me just flip this over. Take a look at what we got going on here. Gonna go in and see what we can do as far as getting ready and getting set up for the race. All right, let's take a look. We got a $100 budget for a kit that's top and bottom. And what I mean by a kit is a suit that you would wear, top skin tight, and a bottom that's a tri-bottom, which is gonna have a light chamois in it. But let's take a look what we got going on here. A pair of nice TYR tire shorts coming in at $50. That's half our budget for half of our kit. Might get us going, but we're gonna have to take a look at the top to go with that bottom. The sleeveless tri-top for that is $59. Little above our $100 budget, so we're gonna have to watch this. We'll put that on our list of possibilities. Let's see where we can get in on some of our other products before we go ahead and drop $120 instead of $100 on the kit. Next thing we got to do is we got to come around here to the shoe wall. I've already had my run gait check done, so I am all set on knowing what pair of shoes will fit me. Shoes is a place you don't want to skimp. Right now I'm running right here in these Hokas, but they're out of the price range. That's $160. We got $100 to spend on a pair of shoes. So instead of looking at these front rates, we're gonna drop down. We're gonna take a look at some of these shoes that are 30, 40, 50% off to see if we can do something as far as fitting into our price range of $100 there. So looking at the 11.5s, they do have the Cliftons right here. This is the earlier version of that. That's $130 with 30% off. But let's just keep on looking around and see what else we could find. Up front, there's another rack of shoes. that we're going to take a look at that have a little bit better and deeper discounts. All right, so we've made our way up to the front rack of the discount shoes. Let's take a look and see what we could that might work into what we're looking for. The sizes, the sizes, sizes, sizes. Uh-oh, that looks like the key. Brooks Ghost 12. That's a shoe that I have used in the past. Doing the math on this one, that comes out to $78. That saved us some money right there. We'll take those. We got our first purchase, 78 bucks pair of shoes. That saved us $22. That's over here. I'm just going to go down and I'm going to grab a couple of inexpensive water bottles right there. That's going to get us in under our $10 for water bottles. So let's take a look over here on the sock walls. Down here we got our $15.99, a little out of our budget range. We might have to move over here. See what we got, 15, 14, 15, 14, 15. Looks like maybe we're gonna have to work on a sock budget, so elsewhere. Sunglasses is another thing, and I didn't see any sunglasses here that are gonna fit into our budget. So let's grab our shoes, grab our water bottles, and we'll head on out and see what else we can find. Shopping, maybe a little online, and go from there. Okay, so another one of our priorities is the helmet. So what I do, I'm going to run down to my local bike shop, I'm going to look around, I'm going to find maybe something on sale to get us into our budget range. But I come to find out there's just no helmets. COVID, it's hard to find a helmet. What are we looking for? How well it fits? Airflow. Air has got to be able to flow through the helmet so you don't overheat. For racing though, we have to look for a UPSC standard helmet. It has to be MIPS equipped. The MIPS allows the helmet to float a little bit, saves the brain. So after our search, we found a helmet, ordered it, it's here. What we found was the Laser or Laser Blade MIPS. Came in a little under our budget. So let's take a look at what we got for our money. Came in nicely boxed, nice helmet. It matches the color combinations that I use in my racing, which is yellow and black. It also comes with some spare padding, a little helmet instruction book. It's MIPS equipped. As you can see, it floats around. The interior floats around inside the helmet right there. And it's good hard shell, adjustable at the top. And it has our sticker right here for UPSC legal. We got our helmet. Now we still need to find that kit and the bike, the big dollar item. So let's take a look on our shopping list. We got to find some running socks. So let's go on online here. We'll take a look at some running socks. I found these ASICS unisex running socks, 3 pair for 10 bucks. We'll be purchasing those. Good deal right there. Now let's go on to some sunglasses. And we got a $30 budget on these. I have these. Actually, these are good sunglasses. I use this exact pair of sunglasses. This is the Rock Bros cycling sunglasses, photochromatic, $28.99. Unbelievable. Let's go ahead and add those to our cart. We're going to need a bike pump. But we found here, again, this is on Amazon, $28.25. This will do Schrader and Presta valves, so it will take care of the tires that are on a road bike. Buying a Schwinn bike pump. This will get the job done. Add it to our cart. And there we go. And we got 3 items in our cart. And now we need to find some swim goggles. We're gonna need goggles to swim with. We take a look right here, $23.62 for a good quality pair of Tire Special Ops 2.0. I've used these, they're good goggles. Add them to our cart. Okay, let's try a triathlon kit, see if we can find something in a full one piece. Let's take a look at this Ugly Frog kit right here. All of these different colors. This is a one-piece kit, top and bottom all built into one. You can use it for training and for racing. All different types of jerseys that you can choose from. The buying options on this, $43.99. I've seen people and know people who've used this Ugly Frog brand before. They're not bad. They will get the job done. We're going to go ahead and drop that in our cart, save a lot of money. Okay, so we're missing several things off of our list. Entry fee, nutrition, a training plan, and a pool. Pool is no problem in locally here because I can get a pool entry at one of my local pools for $2 the entry to swim in the pool. So if we figure we're going to do 20 swims, that'll be $40. As far as training goes, you'll see in the description below my triathlon training plans, $10 for 10 weeks. We'll be buying that. And we need nutrition and hydration, and we're just going to budget $75 for the 10 weeks. We still have one very important, very expensive item to go, and that's going to be the bike. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump online here. We're going to go to our Facebook marketplace, and we're going to type in triathlon bike. See what we can find out there. We want to make sure that we have good quality components. In our price range are just so old. Boy, this is going to be a hard search. Just not. Oh! This is interesting. I'm gonna make a call. I'm gonna find out about this bike. This bike right here. I know this bike. All right, here we go. Let's go see what we can do about buying this particular bike. Well, folks, I just got back from picking up this bike, and in most cases in this video, I am doing this without actually buying the product. I'm putting together the price list, but this one I just had to help this person out. Why I bought this bike? I know this bike really, really well because I actually sold this bike to this lady. I purchased this bike. It got inside of our budget, $350. What an amazing deal. But what's really good about the deal is it came with some accessories like a spare tire, a couple of spare tubes, and a full flat changing kit. Right up above here, you can see what you need to put in your flat kit and how to change a flat. This is something very, very important in your race. So if you've gotten value from this video, go down below, give me a thumbs up, the final wrap up, and see if we beat that $1,000 in our budget. Okay, so shopping is done. Let's see how we did on our budget right here. Okay, now, first thing, we got our bike. Budget $350, bought it for $350. Entry fee, $100, bought it, $86. Shoes, $100, bought it, $78. Socks, $10, got a nice set of socks, $10. Helmet, $85, got it, $80. Kit, had a $100 budget, found that nice kit for $44. Our nutrition, $75. We're gonna spend about $75. Plan, $10. jscoachingsystems.com, jscoachingsystems1@gmail.com if you're interested in that. $10, 10 weeks. Bottles, $10, $10. Sunglasses, $30, got them for $27. Pool, $40 rental, gonna pay $40. Goggles, budget $30, paid $23. Pump, budget $50, paid $28, and our grand total is $861 is what we can do this triathlon for, buying quality product and having something that's going to last more than just for one race. Now, that does leave us with the money available for that tire kit. That would bring us up to $947. We got $53 in our pocket to be able to buy gas to get to all of our training and the race. What we're going to talk about is the 4 most popular distances in triathlon, the basic gear you're going to need, what level of coaching you might need for each one, and the budget that you may have to compete in your first race. The first distance we're going to cover is the sprint distance. This is the most popular distance of all the races. You're going to see this as an entry level, all the way up to professional level, will race this distance. What is a sprint distance? Well, your swim is basically going to be somewhere between a 400 meter up to an 800. Most of them come in around 600. The bike is going to be 9 miles, about 15K, up to about 15 miles, which would be about 25K. I haven't seen any longer than that. And generally, you don't see any shorter than that. They're still called a sprint race. The run, 5K. But a little sibling to this is called the super sprint. You will see this in some races as an entry level, and that's quite often in a pool. The bike, 5 to 10 miles, and then a 1.5 mile to 2 mile run. Now, what gear are you going to need for a sprint race? Well, first off, you're going to need a bike. You might have seen a lot of these bikes at these races. You could spend $8,000, $10,000, $15,000 on a bike, but no, you don't need that in a sprint race. You can race just about any type of bike as long as it's safe, as long as you can make the distance. That includes the expensive triathlon bike. It could be a road bike with clip-on aero bars. It could be a mountain bike, or it could just be your plain old beach cruiser. You're gonna need a helmet. The helmet has to be safe. It needs to be in good working order when it comes to the chin strap, and it needs to be CPSC approved. Just about every helmet that you can find at your bike shop will fit that bill. The next thing you're gonna need is eye protection. You have to have glasses on, something to protect your eyes. These are Rock Bros. There's a link down in the description for all of the products that I use if you're interested in finding out a good quality sunglass, inexpensive price. You're also going to need swim goggles. Swim goggles are necessary. You gotta be able to see where you're going. Very inexpensive. You can find those online. Again, there's links below, or you can find them at your local sporting goods or triathlon shop. You're gonna need a good quality pair of running shoes. Don't skimp here, folks. Don't go out and buy a $25 pair of running shoes at a big box store. Spend the money, buy the good shoes, get a run gait check, make sure you're not gonna get injured by your shoes. Also, equip them with elastic shoelaces. That'll help you get them on and off easy in transition. And last but not least is a triathlon kit. What do I mean by that? The minimum would be a pair of triathlon shorts like these. They've got minimal padding in there, so you have some padding on the bike, and then you'll be able to run in them. You're also able to swim in them. You do one set of gear through the whole race. You also would need a triathlon top. This is not 100% necessary. You can just wear for your first few races a moisture wicking t-shirt. That'll get you through the race just fine. When it comes to coaching for a sprint race, this is where you really need some sort of guidance, but not necessarily a full-time coach. What I have available to you is a 10-week for $10 sprint triathlon training plan. You can email me to buy this plan at this email address here, or it's down in the description below. The next distance we're going to talk about is the Olympic distance, also known as a standard distance, and in some cases a 5150. There's two different styles of Olympic distance racing. One is the draft legal style that you will see at the Olympics. Most often you're going to see a non-draft legal Olympic distance race. What does it mean by non-draft legal? You are not allowed to get within 3 bike lengths of the person in front of you as you're riding the bike. If you get inside that quote draft zone, you can get a penalty. And in the last Olympic distance race I was in, I saw 3 guys get a penalty for drafting as they flew by me as a group and then got caught by the officials. Now, what is an Olympic distance race? Well, your swim is going to be 0.93 miles or 1.5K. Your bike is going to be 24.8 miles, which is a 40K bike, and your run is 6.2 miles or a 10K run. This race, you have to be in a little better condition than you would be for a sprint race, which is going to be about an hour to an hour and a half race. This is going to be about a 2 hour and 20 minute race if you're quick, 3 hour and 30 minute race, maybe even as long as a 4 hour race. For coaching, yeah, you might want to look into a coach for this distance race, maybe a one-time, one-race coaching system, or I do offer a 12-week, $15 Olympic distance training plan that assumes you can already do a sprint distance. Email address here, or the email address is in the links below. You might also hear of a distance called an international distance. This is kind of like a catch-all distance. Anything that's in the range of an Olympic distance but might have a shorter swim. I've seen an 800-meter swim. I've seen them ride a bike distance of 15, 18, 20 miles, or as long as 24, 26 miles, and then run a 10K. As far as gear goes, Gear is exactly the same as in a sprint race, except that mountain bike or that beach cruiser just is not going to cut it. You're not going to make time cutoffs if there are any on that type of a bike. So that road bike, add a set of clip-on aero bars, or an entry-level triathlon bike will help you get through this distance race. Our next distance we want to talk about is the 70.3, or better known as the half Ironman or the HIM. What is a 70.3? It's a swim of 1.2 miles, a bike of 56 miles, and a run of 13.1 miles. This is a very difficult distance. It's the first of the really harder distances that you have to really work on. It takes 4 to 6 months of training for this to really be ready for half Ironman distance. When it comes to your bike, I do suggest at this point that you just totally forget about anything other than a minimum of a road bike with clip-on aero bars or an entry-level tri-bike or better. Now you're going to want to add a little bit more gear, like a deep wheel set. You can buy these or you can rent them right at the events. Now when it comes to your helmet, this is where you might want to upgrade from a road bike helmet into something like either a long tail aero helmet if you're able to hold the aero position for a long period of time, or maybe one of the newer looking aero helmets with the shield. These helmets are a shorter tail helmet. This one happens to be by Kodo Modus, very aerodynamic with a lot of airflow. Now, you're definitely going to want to look into a higher quality tri-suit. This is where you want to look into one that you can wear from the hotel room in the morning to the hotel room in the afternoon. Generally, 70.3 does not have a changing tent. You might also want to upgrade for the swim to a wetsuit if it's going to be a wetsuit legal race, or a swim skin if it's not. Coaching, this is where it comes into a better experience with a coach. You can do this on your own. You can do this with a training plan, but when it comes to 70.3 training plans, that's like taking a rock, throwing it into the ocean, and having it land on a target that you put on the bottom. You might come close, but you don't know exactly which training plan is going to work best for you, and a trained coach will make the adjustments needed to get you to have the best experience possible in this type of race. Well, you've seen this one on TV, folks. You've seen the Ironman World Championship from Kona, Hawaii. You have seen these guys do this long race in under 8 hours, but this long race is available to you also. The Ironman distance, 140.6, the Mac Daddy of them all. There are 72 Ironman distance races. Challenge puts on the Iron Distance race. Many local promoters put on iron distance races. There's a lot of choice in that distance. Again, as far as the bike goes, I suggest at this point you really look into the aero advantages of a triathlon bike with the deep wheels, aero helmet, the high quality tri-suit. On a Ironman distance race, there is a changing tent. A lot of people will change into running gear. You saw Lionel Sanders do that and run his way all the way up into second place. And this is the level where you have to learn how to ride these races. This race is a definite coach needed race. And this is something that I specialize in, the first timers and the people who are really trying to learn how to do Ironman racing. Have you ever gone to a race and wondered why all these people are doing this? You go into a small sprint race, maybe there's a couple hundred people, or maybe you go to an Ironman race and there's thousands of people, but there's only going to be one winner. Yeah, thousands of people, one winner. Why would you do that? You got this person over here. Look at them. You're not going to beat that person, but you're going to be in the race. You know why? Because technically there are 3 races going on in every single triathlon, Ironman race, and any other age group style racing. The first race you have going on is that overall race where you're going to start off and you're going to race everybody, including that person, whether it's a guy or whether it's a girl, that's going to win the race. There's going to be a male winner. There's going to be a female winner. You're probably not going to be that person. Why do it? How about the second style of race? This is the inner race. This is the race between you and your mind and the clock. Personal growth. That's what the second style is. And then there's the third style of races going on in each and every Ironman or triathlon race that I know of, and that is the age group race. What's that all about? What the age group race is it gives everybody a chance of taking the win. Now, what does that mean? How can you do that? There's going to be one person taking the win. This is fixed by the age group race. What is an age group race? Well, I couldn't find the origin of the age group race. I looked back and found records all the way back to well past 30 years ago where people were broken down into age group intervals, 5-year gaps. You have the men's and you have a women's race, and each one has their age groups. They start at most races at 15 years old and younger. Anybody younger than 15 years can do that. Now, you won't see that in Ironman racing because Ironman limits the participants to 18 years and older. Then they proceed from there in 5-year increments. Say you're 20 to 24, 25 to 29. It works its way up. 55 to 59, 60 to 64, all the way up to and including 85 plus, which is a relatively new age group because guess what? Triathletes are getting older. We're staying in shape, we're getting stronger, and we're making it into the later years. These age groups are used by both USAT and Ironman, pretty much uniform all the way across the board. In triathlon racing, every single solitary one of us gets a birthday at midnight on January 1st, whatever year. Now, age groups aren't the only categories in a triathlon race. Now, if you're a heavier person, you have the opportunity as a man to race in Clydesdales, Athena, the same way, which is a women's 165 plus race. You could also find military categories, first responder categories, and first timers categories. So the first thing you need to do is find a place that we can find a triathlon. So let's step up to the computer and I'm going to show you 5 different places where you can look up a triathlon near you. One of my favorite ones is tryfind.com. We go down here to Florida. We click on Florida right there. We're going to go on to a beginner triathlons. We're going to click that, and beginner triathlons by USAT, 49 in Florida. Click on that one. We have a lot of races here in Florida, and it's going to bring up a list of races that you're going to be able to sign up for, and if they're USAT sanctioned. That's the first one. The second one we're going to look at is USA Triathlon, USAT themselves. This is the one that we're going to go into later on. This is a place where you can find all of the USAT sanctioned races. That's really important because USAT, if you know they're sanctioned by them, you're going to be fair and they're going to be insured. The next one is active.com. This is another place you can go for an event. You can go in here and choose what type of event you want. Everything 5Ks, marathons, triathlons, sprint triathlons, kids and family. We'll click on sprint triathlon there. And they're going to pick a radius. I'm in Ellington, Florida, so it's going to give me the stuff that's kind of close and relative in my area. And as you can see right there, several different ones in February. The next one I want to show you is a company called Run Sign Up. Run Sign Up, again, is another place. Hit find a race right there. It'll open it up. You can see different races available throughout the country. You can put in, I'm going to put in St. Anthony's and search for that one. We see St. Anthony's Triathlon right there. Click on it and it'll take you to the St. Anthony site where you can register. The last one we're going to look at is Ironman.com. You can go here for Ironman and half Ironman races only. So you go here and we click on races for that. Anything is possible. There's 170 races worldwide. Enter a keyword. I'm going to put Florida. Search for that. And we have Florida Gulf Coast, Ironman Florida, Panama City Beach, Ironman Florida 70.3. If you're looking for an Ironman race, this is the place to go. So now that you know where to look for a race, but you don't know how to sign up for it. So let's take a look. We'll walk you right through the steps. So I'm going to sign up for the St. Anthony's Olympic Distance Triathlon. So here we are in the USA Triathlon site. I like the USA Triathlon site because I know USA Triathlon races, again, are all insured and that is a big plus. First thing you want to do when you get to the USA Triathlon area is hit Get Racing. Once you get on the Get Racing screen, then your next step on this is to hit the race calendar. You're going to type in your zip code. You're going to choose your state. We're going to make this, I'm going to make it 100 miles just for fun. You put in a race type, triathlon. Next, we're going to choose a distance. You see here super short, short, intermediate, long, ultra, lots of different names for different types of races. Then we go over to more filters. I'm going to filter this by adult event, type in adult. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to bring us up, it's going to filter and bring us up the different races that are available within 100 miles of my home. And you know what? I don't see the one race on here I want to do. I know it's a little bit farther away. We're going to make it 130, 140 miles. And we'll try it again. Date, distance, more filters. Adult event, boom. Now we're getting there. So what happens now is it brings up a list of events. We see coming up, I have the options of on February 18th, the Tampa Bay Babes Triathlon. Well, obviously I'm not a babe. Escape from Fort DeSoto, literally as the crows fly, it's 5 miles from my house. St. Anthony's, that's the one we're looking for, but as you go down, you're going to see more and more events within that driving distance you have of your house. The race we're looking for is the St. Anthony's Triathlon. You see it's USAT officiated race. Click on that, it's going to take us to the registration page. Click on the intermediate. Right here, it'll tell you what your distance are. We're going to hit the register button. That looks like the one I want. Everything looks good. I'm going to click on register now. And this is going to bring me to the page where it's going to tell me the prices. The Olympic, which is the one I'm signing up for, $170. And the Sprint, which is the short distance, $100. So we're going to go ahead here. We're going to hit sign up. And that's going to bring up my information right there for who I want to sign up. I'm going to go ahead and click on me. It's going to bring up all my information and it'll sign me up for the Olympic distance, but it's going to show me it's $170 plus $11.50 sign up fee. We're going to continue. It's going to give you all of your race waivers. Scroll to the bottom and it'll give you the waiver and agreement. You type in your name and the date and we'll continue. I'm going to just put in not a USAT member for this particular example. It's going to cost you as a non-USAT member $18 extra to race this event. That is a licensing fee. Or you buy the silver for $60. If you're going to do more than 3 triathlons in a year, it's worth getting the $60. There's discounts involved. There's all kinds of neat things involved in being a member. But we're going to go ahead and just click on the $18 one for the example. It gives you another long legal mumbo jumbo. We're going to go up and sign the waiver right here. Make sure you capitalize or it'll kick you out. Continue. Most races are going to offer you a t-shirt and it'll have your option there. I'm a large. I'm going to be in the age groups. Then you go in here. We're going to drive. How many people are traveling, including yourself? That's 2. Emergency contact. That you put in whoever you want. You're going to put in their phone number. Are you currently using a coach or a training plan? I am a coach, so I guess I'm using a coach. I'm going to put yes here. USAT Regional Club. I am in a club. The Sarasota Storm Triathlon Club, greatest club on the face of the earth. Then how are you inspired to race St. Anthony's? I've raced it 6 times. This will be the 7th one, so I guess that's inspiration enough. And you're going to provide your phone number, 888-88-888, and then you're going to continue. St. Anthony's is a charity, so we'd be donating there. We'll move on from that right now. Continue. There's going to be finishers picks. A lot of these races have pictures available. Hey, it's your first race. Jump on the picture package. So for $29.99, not bad. Race day hospitality, but there's all kinds of little things going on right here. A lot of the places have special offers, some don't. Continue, and then we're going to put in our credit card. We're going to apply the coupon code, which I'm going to get from my Storm Triathlon Club. Another reason to join a triathlon club. Discounts everywhere. I'm going to apply that. You can actually, on USAT, for $16.22, you can get your money back. Remember, you're not going to get your money back no matter what unless you click on that box. Confirm payment, $200.28, and registration information is all there. Boom. If I had filled out everything completely with my credit card, I would be given a spot to click enter. Boom, I would be in the race. I'll see you there.
So you suck at swimming. Well, at least that's what you think every time you head to the pool. Drone away those hours of swimming and get no faster. You're slow, you can't breathe, you can't make a full lap. There's a million reasons why you think you suck at swimming. But I'm gonna bring you a bunch of different tips and some ways to fix each one. Now, the promise of this video was I'm going to try to give you ways to fix problems that you've had. But there's no doubt that number one, the biggest problem you have as an adult swimmer coming in trying to learn to swim is the fact you're an adult swimmer. People who come in and learn proper stroke technique when they're young have a definite advantage. But this can be overcome by following all the rest of the tips we have in this video. Reason number two that you're not a very good swimmer is you don't swim enough. The thing about swimming is it's a technique sport. You have to get to the pool, you have to put in the time, you have to learn the proper technique. But droning away lap after lap after lap after lap at the pool and you don't get any faster can be frustrating because, as I say, fundamentals are everything. So to fix that problem of not getting to the pool enough, you may have to drop a bike or a run session and replace it with a swim. I like to do what I call a gym and swim brick, where I go to the gym and I put in a half an hour or so on the weights and then jump to the swim after the weights are used as like a warm-up session. So get to the pool, get in the time at the pool, that will help make you a better swimmer. So here's one I hear all the time. I can't make it to the end of the pool because I'm totally, completely out of breath. Breathing technique is the next problem why you're not very good at swimming. There's several things in breathing technique that you have to get right to be able to make those laps. First, what happens to most people is when they take a breath at the side, they hold their breath underwater and then try to turn their head, exhale, and take a breath and then get back in the water. That doesn't work. You want to try to breathe normally in the water. What I mean by that is when you turn your head, you take a breath, and when you turn your head back underwater, you breathe out through your mouth and through your nose until the gases are gone and timed right to take the next turn of your head. This way, you're going to take the CO2 gets out, the oxygen gets in, and you will have that gas transfer more like what you would have while you're out running or cycling. So, fixing breathing technique is more often than not about breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. The next reason you're not very good at swimming is maybe because you haven't taken the time to hire a coach. A good swim coach can bring your technique to where it needs to be in a very short length of time, teach you proper training and training techniques, and can come back after time and look at you over and over and over again to help break those bad techniques. So my suggestion to fix this one is to find a coach, pay them some money to help you get your swim stroke down perfect, and then come back once a month at first, then once every couple of months to have them take a look at your stroke and bring it back into perfection. Swimming is about form. Form is everything, and one of the biggest problems that people have when it comes to form is their body position. They let their legs dangle and their head up, and most of this is controllable by your core. If you want to get your legs up and keep your body in the right position, you need to have a good solid core. You need to squeeze your glutes, you need to tuck your head down, and this will bring your bodies up. It's a pendulum, folks. If you've got a bend in the middle, your feet are going to drop. If you've got your head up, your feet are going to go down. So head down, solid core, body position will stay better in the water. you don't have proper arm position in the water, what's called a high elbow technique, you are not going to be fast at swimming. I don't care how much effort you put in. If you go in the water and your arms are not in the right position, you will not move forward. The goal here is to get your arms to create 3 paddles. What do I mean by that? Is when your arm goes in the water, come back here, your arm goes in the water, you immediately want your hand to be above your elbow. Your hand is above your elbow, you're going to come through the water, you're going to pull with a barrel, like you're carrying a barrel right here as you pull through the water, and you're gonna come all the way down in a question mark shape till you can touch your hip with your thumb. You want a full, complete stroke from the beginning to the end with your elbow always above your hand. If your elbow is above your hand, hand becomes a paddle, forearm becomes a paddle, upper arm becomes a paddle. You're pushing with 3 paddles. Now, if your hand is above your elbow, you're gonna come through the water this way. Notice the only paddle you have is your upper arm. It slides through the water nice and easy. Your brain is going to want to make your arm come through the water with the least amount of resistance. You want to create the most amount of resistance. That way, as you're pulling your body through the water, you're not pushing your arm through the water, you're pulling your body through the water, you will get an efficient stroke and you will get faster. Elbow above your hand, you're going to be faster. Elbow below your hand, you're going to be slower. Next, I want to talk to you about misusing your time at the pool. This is really important and something that most people don't realize whatsoever is you can misuse your time at the pool. What do I mean by that? Most people want to go into the pool and say they're doing a half Ironman. They're going to swim 1.2 miles in the half Ironman. So they just get in the pool and they drone away lap after 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 lap. And at the end of the swim, they look at their time and go, I was faster or I was slower. That doesn't work. You will never get better at swimming by droning away lap after lap after lap. What you want to do is you want to break your swim down into smaller increments with short breaks in between. Say 10 by 100, 4 by 200, 4 by 500, 20 by 100. What this does, it will show you where you are in your endurance, and when you break down, you'll be able to look at each 100 and make sure you try to keep your stroke consistent for each 100 yards. It also works when you're trying to work on your form and technique. If you try to work on your form and technique and swim 1,000 yards, you have no idea what you tried that will make you a faster swimmer. If you do 10 by 100 and try something new and different on each one, say a different hand position, make sure your arms are farther out, closer in. Whatever you want to do to try to make yourself faster, you can take a look at that 100 right encapsulated into one little space and know if that change worked. So breaking your pool swims down into smaller segments will help you get faster in the long run. So we talked about hand position. Hand position is important. That's 75% of your stroke. Body position is very important also, but not as important is the kick. Why I'm saying it's important but not as important is because number one, you're only getting about 10 to 15% of your forward propulsion from the kick. If you do the kick right. If you do the kick wrong, you can actually slow yourself down. I've actually had a client that when you gave him a kickboard went backwards because his kick form was so bad. Now, what I mean by keeping your kick right is you never want to scissor your legs out in the water. If you turn your head to breathe and have to scissor your legs to get your body back in position, you're overturning your head. Keep your feet together at all times. You should be able to brush the edges of your feet together, your toes, your big toes together anytime during your kick. Keep it efficient, keep it smooth, keep it from becoming a snowplow. Legs out, snowplow. You're plowing the water. Legs in, water streaming over you, you're pushing forward. To help you with the kick, you're gonna take and use two products. You're gonna use a kickboard and you're gonna use fins and do some kicking drills to make sure that you have your kick form correct. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is when you're out there doing endurance swimming, when you're out there for longer distances, you're going to find yourself getting tired. And how you can beat getting tired is by having a strong upper body and core. You're not going to get this by just swimming lap after lap after lap after lap after lap in the pool, because your body's going to adapt to that amount of exertion and not get any stronger. So my tips for building your core and your upper body is, number one, hit the gym. Get in a couple of good solid core workouts and upper body workouts in the gym each and every week. Also, you might want to add into your swimming program the use of hand paddles and a pull buoy. The pull buoy will keep you from kicking. The hand paddles will help you with your pull and putting more resistance against the water. But I caution you to use these sparingly, because they're gonna make you feel really, really, really fast, but that's a false sense of speed. They're to be used strictly to help you build the strength in your upper body and your core so you become a better swimmer. Our next point on why do you stink at swimming is, why do you stink at swimming at open water swimming? The main reason you may stink at open water swimming is fear of the unknown. You may be very experienced at pool swimming, where you have that black line on the bottom of the pool and just a short 25 or 50-yard lap. But when you get in open water, you don't have that line to follow. You don't have that wall to take a breath on. Fear of unknown is one of the main reasons why you stink at open water swimming. But you can overcome those fears. First, one of the main things you want to do is gradually ease in. What I'm saying about that is, go to the edge of the water, walk in to the point where you're comfortable, float a little bit, just look around with your goggles on the bottom, find that happy point of buoyancy in the water. Salt water, much thicker than fresh water. You'll float higher, you'll feel different in the water. Or you may be wearing a wetsuit and you'll feel that wetsuit tightness in your chest. Get used to that and then set off in open water. Another part of open water swimming that people fear is the critters. They fear the jellyfish, they fear the sharks, they fear any other creature that may be swimming in that water. Now I'm going to tell you, those are founded and unfounded fears. Number one, yes, there are jellyfish out there, some places more than others. Here we have a few, not really a major concern. You just have to watch the notifications on the lifeguard stands if there are jellyfish in the area. But back in the 70s, this horrible movie for the reputation of sharks called Jaws has scared everyone out there of the animal known as the shark. Sharks are in open water. That's where they live. We are entering their area, but they don't want to eat you. You are not a food source. Staying closer to shore and, again, keeping an eye on what the lifeguard stands have up as far as notifications for sea critters in the area. Don't ever swim when they say they're there. The next fear you might have is the fear of drowning in open water. That is a legitimate fear. You can drown in 3 inches of water if you pass out face down. But if you look behind me, that Gulf of Mexico goes all the way to Mexico. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you keep yourself as safe as possible. Point number one, always swim with someone else. Don't ever go open water swimming alone. Number two, swim in front of the lifeguard stands, making sure that the lifeguards can keep track of you at all times. Also, you want to wear a bright colored swim cap and carry one of these. This is a swim buoy that attaches around your waist and keeps you safe. You can grab onto this and float. If you're in a rip current and the rip current's pushing you out, you can grab onto this and float. You can call for help. This is the most important piece of equipment that you could possibly have when you're open water swimming. Impatience and frustration. Do you ever feel like your swimming is kind of like swimming in a water slide? What I mean is, you try things and you go round and round and round and round and end up at the same place. You climb back to the top, you go round and round and round and end up in the same place. You don't get faster, you don't get better, but I'm going to guarantee you, if you implement the things that you saw in this video, you are going to get faster at swimming. Don't get impatient, don't get frustrated. Do what you need to do to get the job done. Go back and review this video over and over again. I do offer online swim video coaching and face-to-face coaching in the Gulf Coast, Florida area. Open water swimming is a very different skill than pool swimming. You have a lot of differences in things like choppy water, dark water, deep water, not being able to see where you're going, no line on the bottom of the pool. But this can be overcome with several different methods. And if you want to find out, stay right here, because we're going to dive into how to beat swim anxiety.
Have you ever been on the swim and had a panic attack? In the water is the worst place you could possibly have a panic attack. We're going to cover beating swim anxiety. What is swim anxiety anyway? Things that bring on a swim anxiety. Deep water. A lot of people do most of their swimming in a pool, and when they get out into the open water, they are now in water where they can't see the bottom. To some people, that mysteriousness of what's below you causes anxiety. Another one is dark water. There's times where I put my arm in the water and I can't even see my hand out in front of me. Another is rough water. Other swimmers in the water, possibility of being punched or hit or kicked. That's always a possibility when you're in open water swimming. Time cutoffs. Time cutoffs are always an anxiety problem. And the last thing, the one that causes a lot of anxiety, is sea critters. What are sea critters? Well, sea critters go everywhere from stingrays, alligators, to snakes, to sharks. When it comes to stingrays, by the time we get in the water, those guys are all cleared out. Oh, and I forgot the other one. Jellyfish. Jellyfish is really the biggest issue that we may have. Their sting is really, really nasty. But the two biggies, first off, sharks. If you look at how many swimmers actually enter the water every single day with 0 shark attacks are not something to really get anxious about. Yes, I understand there is the anxiety. It is brought on by that horribly false movie back in the 70s. As far as gators go, gators clear out. They're ambush hunters. They hunt the murky edge of water. I don't put much anxiety, much problems at all with the sea critters that way. With that said, let's talk about the actual anxiety of the swimming. There are some steps we're going to take to acclimate ourselves to open water. Let's just say that you're going to a race and you're going to go to an open water swim and you've never been in that swim before. What we're going to try to do is we can get there early enough and get to a beach a day or two ahead of time, or even if there's a practice swim, you can get in there and you can take these steps that we're going to talk about to acclimate yourself to open water swimming. The best way to acclimate to open water swimming is to open water swim in your training. But what we're going to do is when we get to our location, we are going to get in the water. We're going to gradually wade out into the water. We're going to let the water come up to about our waist level. We're going to then take and lay back on our back, and we're going to just put our arms out and we're going to float. We're going to tighten our core. We're going to bring our legs up. We're going to float. Just lay there and float and relax in the water. Let the waves move you a little bit. Just close your eyes if you have to, and enjoy the fact that you're laying there buoyant in the water. It's really easy with a wetsuit in salt water. That buoyancy just shows you how much you're going to float in the water versus you thinking you're going to sink. Take your time. There's no rush on this. You have to acclimate at your pace. Play in the surf. Take and do some body surfing if you have to, and feel how the water moves you. But just play. Just get out there and just play in the water and get acclimated to the surf, to the swells, to the waves. If you're in a freshwater lake, get used to the buoyancy. Once you're used to that, we're going to walk into about shoulder depth, and you are now getting used to being in a little bit deeper water. Let's put your face down in the water with your goggles on and just look around and see how it is. If you got a snorkel, this really works great with a snorkel. Put the snorkel on. Just keep walking around, looking around at the bottom, See where your feet are, see what's on the bottom. Just get used to that depth, that pressure on your chest. Once you've done that, you want to take and float face forward on the water. Well, this works really great with the snorkel. Do the exact same thing you did in the shallow water, face up, but do it face down in the deeper water. Don't swim. You're just going to sit there and you're going to let your body acclimate to the water in the depth. Once you're done with that, you're going to bob up and down, go underwater, blow bubbles, just play around in the deeper water and get yourself used to being in the deeper water. Now, another way you can help yourself to get acclimated to open water swimming is to train with a group. Go find an organized open water swimming group. Do a little research on the internet. You could probably find something in your area, or bring a friend to walk along the beach with you. Never swim, ever swim open water swimming alone. You can actually swim in the shallower water. In the ocean, this could be an issue because you might be inside the surf break and you could get tossed around a little bit, but you could find a place where you can swim, where you can actually stand up and put your feet on the bottom. But go ahead and do that, and you will be able to feel a little bit more comfortable if you stay in water that you can stand up in. Gradually, you'll be able to work farther and farther out as you build confidence. Another way that you can acclimate to the open water is to not think about it. And what do I mean by that? How can you not think about it? Swim hard. Put hard intervals into your swim. Push yourself to swim fast for a certain length of time. Go in, stand on the shore, get back out, swim another 2 minutes as hard as you can, 3 minutes as hard as you can. That'll occupy your mind, take your thought pattern off of the fact that you're swimming in open water and onto the fact that you're pushing really hard. Now, a couple of things you're going to want to have, and these will help with the anxiety of open water swimming also. One of them is a bright yellow, orange, something really bright as a swim cap. This way you will be able to be spotted off the shore. And the other thing you want to have is a swim buoy. This one's a it's a Blue 70. A lot of different companies have this exact same swim buoy. You blow it up and you hook it to yourself right here with this clip and you tow it behind you. You won't even feel it. It'll be somewhere between your waist and your knees and it'll float behind you. And if you get in a situation where you're panicking or you just need to stop and you are in water deeper than you can touch, you can grab onto this, you can float on it. So this is a must. Links are gonna be in the description below for anything that I point out to you, and go ahead and pick yourself up a swim buoy if you're gonna do open water swimming. The other thing you might wanna have is a wetsuit. In many places around the world, you never get out of wetsuit weather. Pick yourself up a wetsuit. This is a Sumerpo. This wetsuit here, I'll have a link in the description, but this wetsuit right here is made totally, completely bio. I absolutely love this wetsuit. I've never swam in anything quite as nice as this one before. When it comes to swim anxiety, the next thing we're going to cover is swim anxiety during the race. Now we're going to talk about actually the swim tactics. This is another area where people have a lot of problems with the swim is at the start. You know, you get on the beach or you get on the dock, whichever one you're doing, and here are all these people, between hundreds and hundreds of people to thousands and thousands of people, all going to be getting into water. And you look around and you say, holy cow, I am going to be in a washing machine with people beating me like in the WWE. But that doesn't have to happen. There's a couple of different styles of swim starts. And the first one is a mass swim start. All the athletes in the water at one time and fired a cannon and everybody went. Well, the problem with that one is you were putting 2,500 people in the water, and of those 2,500, 1,500 of them swam at the exact same pace. So you had this giant scrum of swimmers beating on each other. This is where the next style came in, and that's called a wave start. And what a wave start is where you're going to start with, if it's a smaller triathlon, I've done some where it's just all the men go and then all the women go. And then even bigger triathlons than that will have all of the age groups. So that when you start, you may be starting 2 minutes behind the 25 to 29-year-old women. You're going to be the 30 to 34-year-old men. You'll be starting behind them, 2 minutes behind. And what happens there is it just spread the scrum out. That, to be honest with you, is my personal favorite type of start, is the wave start. And then what's coming to vogue here in the last 5-8 years is the self-seated start. You are literally swimming with the people who are the exact same pace as you. You're going to be with those people the whole time. And if you're not positioned right, you can get into that little scrum situation. Or if you have a situation where you swim straight and you take a first left-hand turn, and then you have to make a right-hand turn, that bunches everybody up into a swim scrum. Could be an issue. We're going to learn how to avoid that totally and completely. And then there's two different starting points. You have a beach start and you have a dock start. Most of the time with the dock starts, you're going to find that those are going to be self-seated start. Those are the only way you can really do a dock start. Here's how we're going to beat the swim anxiety at the swim start. First, if there's any way, shape, or form that you can get a swim warm-up in, do it. Get to the venue. You want to be one of the first people parking your car in the venue. So what you want to do is you want to time yourself so you're going to be one of the first people into transition area. You're going to set up your transition nice and easy and slow. You're going to have everything set up and ready to go. You're going to put on your wetsuit. You're going to head down to swim start, and you're going to get in a good warm up. You're going to get the water into your wetsuit. That's going to take that initial shock. Will be gone. You're going to know how the wetsuit feels when you swim. If you can't get a warm-up swim in, I want you to get your wetsuit on, and about 10 minutes before the start of the race, I want you to take as cold as you can get bottle of water. And I want you to take and pull your wetsuit out, and I want you to pour your bottle of water down inside your wetsuit, front and back, cold water. Let it seep down in there. It's gonna feel horrible. But what's gonna happen is it's gonna do that heart rate spike is gonna happen then, 10 minutes before the race. And as the water's inside the wetsuit, your body is going to warm that water up. It's going to allow your heart rate to come back down. And when you jump in the cold water, you're not gonna get that initial shock because you already have the warm water in place, and off you go. A lot less swim anxiety. We're going to talk about how to start the swim and not end up in that scrum. And what you want to do as you're heading out onto one of these starts is you want to look at where the buoys are, okay, and where you're going to line up in the line for entering the water. What you don't want to do is you don't want to end up this green guy on the inside cap. You want to work yourself to the outside. If your buoy is going to say it's a right-hand turn at your first buoy, you're going to work your way all the way to the left, to the outside. If it's a beach start or wave start, you're going to work yourself as far to the left as you possibly can go. Yes, I understand. It's a little bit longer to swim, but I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to swim it faster. You're not going to have someone setting your pace for you, and you're going to actually pass these other people as they're fighting in the scrum on the inside. Because what's going to happen is, let's just say they're going to go 4 wide off the beach or off a dock. As you go 4 wide, you're going to jump in the water or you're going to run into the water, and you're going to see that these people, along with the 4 in front of them, the 4 in front of them, the 4 in front of them, are going to funnel down into the first turn. You're going to have a scrum of people at that first turn. There's no doubt about it. No matter how far that first turn is away, there's going to be people pushing, shoving, trying to get around that buoy. We're going to jump in the water and we're going to set our pace slightly lower than what you're wanting to swim the race at. Why do I say that? Because even if you feel like you're going to swim slightly slower, the adrenaline's going to be high, your heart rate's going to be coming up, your body's going to want to go, and you're probably, even though you feel like you're going to be swimming at a slower pace, you're going to actually be swimming at a higher pace than what you're going to end up swimming for the rest of the race. And you're going to make sure you stay to the outside of all the swimmers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spot something in the distance. When you're on the dock or on the beach, and you look down at that first buoy, something out in the distance, there may be a boat out there, but find something that's a little bit bigger in the distance, a tree, a house, something that you're going to spot instead of trying to spot that buoy. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be splashing, there's going to be arms going everywhere, and you're not going to be able to see that buoy real well, but you might be able to see that palm tree or that giant oak tree or that tower that you can spot. You make a straight line to the buoy. You're going to swim that first buoy. You're going to swing it a little bit to the outside. You're not going to get right in tight on the buoy because that's where that swim scrum is going to be. And it's going to get really tight right up against that buoy. So what you're going to do is on that first buoy, you're going to try to swim a little bit to the outside of the buoy. So that's how we're going to get around the outside end. This is going to help you, number one, in your anxiety. You're not going to be in the scrum. Number two, it's going to help you beat that cutoff time because you're going to be going faster out here then they're going to be going in here. Now, again, when you make that corner, find something big, a house, a tree, something in the distance to spot off of. Spot that to the next buoy. Now, by the time you get to the next buoy, you might have a situation where everything is narrowed down. You can cut it in a little bit tighter, and then you're going to pick the finish line as a spot. That's a good way to get in there and find your way in and not have the anxiety, and it'll help you to beat the swim cutoff. I want to talk to you guys about a rescue stroke. And what I mean by a rescue stroke, you need to be able to stop and rest. You're going to have some kayakers, you're going to have some jet skis, you're going to have some boats. You are allowed to go over to those and you are allowed to hang off of them and rest. You're not allowed to make significant forward motion. Take a second, get a little rest, and move on. You might go from paddleboard to paddleboard to paddleboard, but you're going to make it and you're going to keep on pushing forward all the time. Just think, always have a little bit of forward motion. As long as you have forward motion going, you're in the race. As far as the rescue stroke goes, my rescue stroke is breaststroke, and I've had to use it before. I'm a strong swimmer, and I suggest the breaststroke as a rescue stroke, not the backstroke. People want to roll over on their back, and then they just have no idea where they're going. They're doing this backstroke thing, and they're turned sideways. They're going across the course. They're getting in other swimmers' ways. This is when you end up getting punched in the stomach or in the side or getting your goggles knocked off. What you want to do is you want to practice it though. The breaststroke or the side stroke are the two that I would suggest you would do for a rescue stroke. Go in the pool, swim 100 breaststroke, knowing that, hey, I'm getting a better breath. When your head comes up, you'll get a good solid breath. You'll be able to sight. You'll be able to see what's going on around you. Make sure you have a rescue stroke and you're very, very comfortable with it. Guess what? When that swim anxiety comes in, you go to that rescue stroke, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm moving forward. I'm making progress. This is getting easy. And when you feel comfortable again and you look around your surroundings or where you feel comfortable, you can go back into your front crawl and move on forward. You may have to switch to the breaststroke and back and forth. That's all right. Nobody says you can't do that. Okay, so proper sighting can be practiced in the swimming pool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some laps here and I'm going to show you the stroke you're going to take and take a sight. And what you're going to do is on your breaststroke, as you come forward, you're going to tip your head up and you're going to take a mental photograph of where you're going. Okay, so proper sighting can be practiced in the swimming pool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some laps here and I'm going to show you the stroke you're going to take and take a sight. And what you're going to do is on your breaststroke, as you come forward, you're going to tip your head up and you're going to take a mental photograph of where you're going. You're not going to pop your head out of the water and look. You're going to take a quick breath, mental photograph, and then go. So today's video is being brought to you by jscoachingsystems.com. 10 for 10 sprint triathlon training plans where for $10 you get 10 weeks of training in one of 3 levels. It comes in beginner, intermediate, advanced. If you're interested, go down below in the description. You'll find my email address. It's right here on the screen and it's in the comment. Just shoot me an email. We'll set you up and get you on the road to being a triathlete. So the next drill is the closed eye drill. What Henry's going to do now is he's actually swimming down the lane, eyes closed for 20 strokes. Then he's going to find the cone at the end and swim to it. This will tell you if you're swimming straight or if you're weaving side to side. Okay, so our first drill involves this cone right here. And what we're going to do with my swimmer is going to swim their first 5 strokes coming off the far wall with their eyes closed, take a sighting stroke, find the cone, and swim to the cone. Each lap, I'm going to move that so that he has a different place that he has to look each time to find the cone. And that's the cone sighting drill. Well, open water swimming and sighting in open water swimming is very different than sighting in the pool. You can practice the open water swimming sighting in a pool, but you don't get the full feel of the open water swimming. Some things happen in open water swimming that you don't have happen or can't have happen in the pool. First thing is the buoys are way off in the distance. And what you're going to do is you're going to be swimming to a buoy. You can have situations where the weather is not in your favor, where you have waves, have choppiness, where you're not able to see the buoy very, very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a tip right here on how to sight the buoys better in open water. I'm here at Benderson Park. This weekend they're having the rowing Olympic qualifying here, and I'm seeing some really cool rowers. They have actually set up a buoy out here in the water, and I've set up a sight line using the buoy lines that they have as lane markers to show you how you would sight down the line to the buoy and to something in the distance to help you sighting in open water. So if I was jumping out here into the open water to swim a race where I was going to be heading toward the buoy that you see off in the distance, if it's wavy or if you're not able to sight it really well because of other swimmers, just think, if a whole group of people were swimming with yellow caps on, it would be very hard to spot that buoy. So what you want to do is you want to get an eye on the buoy, set up the angle that you're going to swim, and you want to swim a straight line toward the buoy. And how you sight it is not by sighting the buoy. You're going to sight that building off in the distance. Very easy to spot. You pick something off in the distance to spot. It makes it much, much easier to get to the buoy fast and not have a zigzag all over the place. Sighting is a skill. And you know what? Skills take practice. And the things you can practice, if you go in the pool and you use that closed eye drill, if you use the cone drill, and when you're out doing your open water swims, sight a large item in the distance. Get that angle. Find that buoy the first time, sight what's past it, and take those mental pictures as you take a stroke. You'll have a much better time sighting. Oh man, that was ugly. Maybe that guy should not have tried that method of mounting his bike. What different types of mounting can you do to get on your bike safely and quickly in a triathlon race? I'll tell you what, these guys, they need to work on getting on their bike. What I want to bring you in this video are 4 different methods of getting on your bike after transition number 1, or T1 as it's better known as. The first method I want to bring you and talk to you about is the method called the step over method. What the step over method is you'd come out of your water, you'd get to your transition area, you'll put your shoes on, you'll put your helmet on, and whatever else you need to put on in the transition, and then you grab your bike and you run the bike all the way to the mount line. When you get to the mount line, you're going to step over the bar, clip in your cleats, and ride off that way. This is the most popular method you're going to see at a triathlon, and it is by far the safest method of getting on your bike. So the next method I want to talk to you guys about is called a modified step over, or at least what I call it, a modified step over. And what this is pretty much the exact same thing as the step over, but instead of putting your shoes on at the rack, you're going to grab your shoes and you're going to run with your shoes and your bike all the way up to someplace close to the mountain line, find a place to lean your bike, throw your shoes on, and then do the step over method, just like the last method that I showed you. Now this is faster, especially if it's a long run from where your bike rack is to bike out. I've used this method several different times in the past. It really works good. Be sure you scout out the route you're going to take, where you're going to lean your bike, and how you're going to put your shoes on. Then you proceed onto the mountain line, go ahead and step over the bar, and then leave just like you would with the step over method. talk to you about another method. This is the method that I use, and you're going to see a lot of the age groupers use this method to mount, and you'll actually even see some pros use this method to mount what I call a modified flying mount. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your shoes and you're going to clip your shoes into the pedals, and you're going to hold your shoes level on the pedals with elastic band. This method here is much faster, still relatively pretty safe. What you're going to do is you're going to run all the way to the mount line, cross over the mount line, you're going to step over the bar, putting your feet into the pedals, and you're going to take off pedaling right away, get up to speed, then you tighten your shoes down and you race from there. But the bad part of this is your shoes might fall off the elastics and hang down from one side or the other, and you have to be able to get your foot in there, make adaptations on the fly. Also, you might miss putting your foot in the shoe and knock the shoe off the elastic, and again, you have to be able to adjust on the fly. The only way you're going to get this one down is to practice. Every single time that you get on your bike, you're going to practice this modified flying mount. Hey, now that's what I'm talking about. That's a good mount right there. That takes a lot of practice, and that's called the flying mount. I don't even try this one. That's why I showed you videos of me doing the other mounts, but I won't even dare try this one because this is the ITU special, the Pro special. Some very elite age groupers will do this also, but it's dangerous both in practice and in the race. But when you get it down, right, it's really, really, really fast.
Today we're diving into the world of clipless pedals. Well, these cool little devices will make you faster if you have an efficient pedal stroke to go with them. Now, how does that happen? You will feel more comfortable on the bike. You'll feel more attached to the bike. You'll be able to handle the bike better. You will transfer power from your legs into the pedals more efficiently, thus giving you a faster race finish time guaranteed. Sounds like the magic pill, right? No. Something with clipless pedals you need to know, they can be dangerous. What I mean by that is they cause crashes. What'll happen is if you don't get clipped out on time, you can tip over. If you don't start off right, you can flip over. They can cause injury. They can cause knee, ankle, and foot injuries. As we delve into the discussion on clipless pedals, we're going to see that there are three basic different types of pedals. The first is a speed play pedal, and that is a small disc where the pedal itself is just a clip part and the mechanism is up inside the shoe. I'm not a big fan of these, though they work absolutely great. I don't like the idea of the mechanism being in the bottom of the shoe where rocks or dirt can get inside and follow them up as you go through transition in your race. Now for road biking, wonderful. Triathlon, not a fan. The second type is the SBD. These will be found more on mountain biking and on the spin bikes in the gym. The advantages of these, they can clip in on both sides. They're very easy to work with. And with the mountain bike style shoes, you have the bottoms where you can actually walk on them with absolutely no problem. The disadvantages, they only mount in the center of the shoe through.
Can cause foot pain because it has a small area where you're pushing your power through the pedal.
The third type that I like to use is from the company called Look. These are a very, very good pedal because, number one, because the mechanism is built into the pedal, not into the shoe. This allows you to go through transition without having the issues of dirt or rocks getting stuck up in the mechanism and causing the cleat not to connect to the bike. There are several different companies that make power meters that go with a Look style clip-in system. When you talk about setting up these pedals, this is where you can have an issue if they're set up incorrect. You can hurt your knees, your ankle, or your feet by having these set up at the wrong angles or in the wrong point on the shoe. There are three different types of cleats that you can attach to the bottom of your shoe in this style of system. There's the black, and the black is a zero float, which means when your foot is clipped in, you have no movement whatsoever in the cleat. This can cause pain and injury if they're not set up correct. To give a little bit on that, you have the gray. These are 4.5 degree float, which gives you a little bit of play, a little bit of leadway for your knees, ankles, and feet in the setup of your cleats. And then there's the red. The red is a 9 degree float. 9 degree float is quite a bit of float, quite a bit of movement before you have any tightness in the cleat or to be able to clip out of the cleat. What that does is it gives you a very wide margin of error in the setup of your cleat, but you won't feel quite as connected to the bike as you will with the gray, and you won't feel quite as connected to the bike as you would with the black. Pro riders, experienced riders, beginners. If you're getting value from this video, drop down below and give me a thumbs up. If you think this is a channel that is going to bring you value over time, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell. Leave a comment and tell me if you have ever had problems with your clipless pedals. Wives' tale is everyone tips over once or twice when they start riding clipless pedals. That can be avoided. And how you can avoid that is first to learn how to clip in and clip out. We're going to touch on that just a little bit, showing you how you roll your toe onto the front of the pedal and push down in the back to clip in, and then you twist your foot sideways to the outside to clip out. Super easy, tons of videos out there on that subject on YouTube. So we're just going to go right there, show you that little bit, and then move on to doing it safely. The safest place and my favorite place to have any of my athletes who are changing over to clipless pedals do this is on a trainer. A smart trainer doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be anything but a trainer that keeps your bike stable and allows you to get on and practice clipping in and clipping out of the pedals. Now, where do you get one of these trainers? You can find one pretty cheap. I'll put a link in the description below for a very inexpensive manual trainer, or you can borrow one. See if you can find somebody who has one that'll let you borrow them for a couple of hours and practice clipping in and clipping out on the trainer. If you don't have an indoor trainer, the next best place to try your clipless pedals is leaning up against a door or a wall. You clip in, clip out several times to get practice doing that. But I must say, when you're practicing your clipless pedals, wear your gloves, wear your helmet, because you can crash just sitting still trying this. You don't want to cut up the inside of your hands. It makes work horrible the next few days. Next, we want to talk about starting and stopping. This is an area that does not get much coverage on the internet. Starting off with clipless pedals is a very important exercise, because this is the area where you can fall over and cause an incident, especially crossing traffic. You do not want to fall down in front of oncoming moving cars. You want to be able to get going really quick. So practice this. What we're going to do is we're going to step on the bike by putting our leg over the bar, not over the seat, over the bar, getting balanced. We're going to clip in one pedal, taking that pedal and bringing it up to about the 11 o'clock position. Then you're going to push forward half a turn very strong to get up some speed so that you can roll forward, get your balance, and clip in. Practice both your starts and your stops over and over and over again until you get it down cold before you head out on the road. So as you're coming up to a stop, unclip early, stand up, move your body weight forward of the seat, slowing down, using your body as a pendulum, slightly off center to the side that you are unclipped on. Come to a complete stop, nice and safe. Now that you see how to do this, you need to practice this until it becomes second nature before you take off on a long bike ride. So take and find an area where you can take a loop around a small neighborhood. We have a half-mile loop in our neighborhood with 2 stop signs, no traffic. Great place to do that. Or you can find a place like a park that has areas where you can practice stopping and starting. No traffic is the key.
Do you know what one of the most dangerous things in a cycling or triathlon race? It's this right here, the water bottle. This thing can be a death bomb out there. What I want to do is I want to teach you guys, the beginners, how to get this water bottle out of the water bottle cage, get your drink, and back in safely so that you don't have a problem with handling your bike or dropping this, which will cause accidents behind you. When it comes to learning how to reach for that water bottle or a gel in your pocket, or maybe even for a more advanced person reaching for the water bottle that's behind you, there are some simple steps that you can take to safely learn how to do that. So the first step you're going to do when you're learning how to reach down for your water bottle is just take your hand off the handlebars, reach down, touch the bottle, bring your hands back up, put them on the handlebars. Do this 3 or 4 times and then roll on and do it over and over and over again as you ride. Once you get comfortable with taking your hand off the handlebars and touching that water bottle, I want you to now reach down, and I want you to grab that water bottle and hold it. Now, you may only be able to reach down and grab it for a second or two, but I want you to continue to practice reaching down, grabbing that water bottle, holding onto it, and then just go back up to your handlebars. Don't pull it out until you feel incredibly comfortable just reaching down and grabbing that water bottle and letting it go and putting your hand back on the bar. Step number 3 is you're going to reach down, you're going to grab the water bottle, you're just going to pull it up out of the cage a little bit and push it back in. Do that 3 or 4 or 5 times, several different times during your ride, and then when you feel comfortable with taking that water bottle and pulling it up and pushing it back down, step 4 will be reaching down, taking that water bottle out of the cage, and then putting it back in the cage. You're not going to take a drink, you're just going to take the water bottle out of the cage, put the water bottle back in the cage. Until you're comfortable with that, you're not doing anything that you're going to get you in trouble on the bike. The 5th step would be reach down, grab your water bottle, take it out, open it up. Most water bottles are either going to be a twist top like this one, or it's going to be a pull top. You take and pull it open, squirt it in, and then push it back in the water bottle cage. What you want to look for in a water bottle is an insulated bottle that has grooves that you're going to grab onto with your hand. Hold that tight, it's not going to slip out of your hand. But it also works as a groove that you see will slide in the catch on your water bottle cage, and it'll hold your water bottle in place. If you're stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire, what do you have to do and what do you have to have with you to change that tire? To make sure that you can do this, the first thing you have to have is a proper toolkit. What do I mean by proper toolkit? You have to bring with you everything you need to be able to do the repair and change the tube of your tire on the spot. So I carry mine in a storage tube like this. I'm able to transfer this from one bike to the other. Very easy. I know I have everything with me. You have to have some tire irons or tire wedges here. And what these are is this is how you pull the tire off. We'll show you that in a few minutes. You need these tire wedges to be able to get the tire off. You need to have a spare tube. I always carry a spare tube with me. I always keep a piece of Velcro with me. You never know. Velcro comes in really handy to fix a lot of things on the bike to get you home. So I wrap my tube in the Velcro right there. A little toolkit. I carry this in my toolbox with me. This has got all the different size screwdrivers and Allen wrenches to be able to fix little things on your bike, tighten things that might come loose. I also keep a little pack of scabs right here. And what those are is if you do have a second flat, you are going to need something to fix that tube, get going again. So I keep this with me right there, the ones that don't have any glue on them. You're also going to need a inflator, and what I have here is I've got the inflator. The style I like are the ones you spin on. When you turn it off, it fills the tire. Also, you need a CO2 cartridge that matches, so you need that with you. So those are the items you need to be able to fix a flat on the side of the road. So tonight what I'm doing is I'm taking on my road bike, I'm changing the tire out, but like I say, the principle's the same whether you're doing a flat tire or you're doing a tire change. I personally like the Continental 5000 tires. I've been using them since they've come out. Puncture resistance is great. The handling is amazing. I use the 725C on my tires. I'm not compensated in any way by Continental. I just really like the tire. You will find some more information down below in the description on the Continental tires. And what you have to do is you got to first get the tire off the wheel. So one of the most important things you want to do is you do have a flat on the side of the road is make sure you get somewhere that's safe. Either jump off the road and get into a sidewalk, or like I found, it's a nice grassy area. We're going to take our tire tools and we're going to start off with our stem on the far side. We're going to go up here. We're going to take and put in both tire tools, wrapping around the inside of the tire itself on 2 different points to get the tire off the rim to be able to expose the bad tube. So up we come this way. We're going to walk one in here, and we're going to take the other one, and we're going to, as quickly as we can, we're going to take the tire off the rim. Now, once you get the tire off the rim, you want to pull out the old tube, and we're going to pull it out right from the stem. And then we're going to inspect our tire to make sure we don't have anything bad going on with the tire. Round and round and round we go. And what we found is we found a pretty good hole cut in the tire right here, and we have a problem. We're on the side of the road. We're forever away from anywhere, and we now have a tire that we can't use. There's a couple different ways to fix that. One of them is with a scab. We can put the scab on the hole that's all the way through. You can see right there, all the way through. Our tube is going to stick through there. We could put a tire patch on the inside to cover the hole. Another method is a dollar bill. Fold it into 4, stick it up inside the tire, put your new tube in there. That'll get you home. But my favorite one is the old gel pack. Everybody's got one. You take your gel pack, you put your gel pack in your tire, smooth it out. Now you've got several levels of aluminum in there that will be keeping your tube inside so that you can get home. It's a temporary fix till you put your brand new tire on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to install our brand new tire. They are kind of, when they come out of the package, they look like this. No particular exact spot you're going to put these on, but one side on at a time. Right here, one bead in, get that in, all the way around. It's a newer tire, so it's going to be a little tighter. We'll get it in here. If you can't get it in, you may have to use the tire iron like I'm having to do right now to push it around and over the end and get half of the tire on. Like that. Now, we're going to take our new tube. We're going to put a little air in it by blowing in. This will help keep you from pinching the tube when you put it in. It'll have a little bit of air, a little bit of structure. Make sure it's not twisted. And push the stem through till the tube is in. We now want to go ahead and insert the tube all the way around, making sure you don't have any kinks or you don't have any spots where you have a fold in the tube, because that'll cause you a problem. Now once you got your tube into the seat, you're going to start putting your tire on, again, away where the stem is. You're going to push the tire into the bead. I'm going to tell you right now, these Alto wheels have a little deeper bead than most. It might take me a little effort to get this in, but it will get on. And we're going to work our way all the way around as much by hand as you can. Some people have stronger hands, can go farther. Some people don't. We'll have to use the tire levers earlier. But we're going to get the tire on as much as we possibly can, trying to make sure we don't pinch the tube. In the meantime, you get to a point where you can't push anymore. You're going to have to use the tire irons, and make sure you don't catch the tube when you're using the tire irons to get the tire on the rim. Okay, so once you get your tire on your wheel like that, we hook it up to our pump, or we use our CO2 cartridge to fill the tire and get it ready to go back on the bike and ready for our ride. Santa did well. You came downstairs and there it was, the best bike on the market. You're going to be just killing it out there. You're going to be on the sprints with your buddies, or you're going to be out there with the girls at the beach cruising along. But did Santa do you a favor? Well, he did. He started you on your journey into the cycling or the triathlon world. He also did you a giant disfavor. Matter of fact, he did you 3 giant disfavors. Make sure. Fundamentally wrong with that first bike. It taught you to do 3 things incorrect. Number 1, it taught you to pedal wrong. Yeah, you push down on the pedals, you go forward. What's so hard about that? When you go into clipless pedals, there's a whole new method of pedaling to go faster. The second thing is it teaches you to stop wrong. Both of those I have covered on another video, and there'll be a link to that at the end. Wait for it. You will be able to fix all 3 of these issues. Now, number 3 that we're talking about today is your early bike taught you to not shift. What do I mean by that? Most of the kid bikes are single speed bikes. When you wanted to go faster, you pushed harder. When you wanted to slow down, you pushed less. People ask me all the time, how many gears does my bike have? And I tell them 22. And they say, isn't that overkill? You'll never use 22 gears. How many do you actually use? And I tell them, I use 22 gears. When riding in the rolling hills, it's very important to use each gear and not try to power up and down the hills using your leg. That is the way to blow up your legs and cause you to not be able to run well off the bike. So as we saw in that clip, we as triathletes do not want to burn our legs up when we're riding our bike. So we want to be able to shift our gears and use them instead of your legs for power. But how do I do that? How do I not burn my legs up when I'm trying to ride in a race up and down rolling hills? There's 4 different ways that we can measure how much energy we're putting out. I will rank them from worst to first. Number 1 is speed. We don't want to use speed ever in a race because speed is subjective to the riding conditions, the wind, the hills, whatever happens. Speed is not the way to go. If you're trying to hold a specific speed, it's not going to work. You're going to burn your legs up, pushing against the wind, pushing up and down hills. The next is heart rate. Now, I normally would flip the heart rate and the rate of perceived exertion around, except in hills. Now, if you're using heart rate as a method of knowing how much energy you're putting out, it doesn't really work in the hills because when you go up a hill, your heart rate won't start to go up as your perceived exertion goes up. When you get to the top of the hill, your heart rate will continue to climb as you're going down the other side. It falls behind. That's why rate of perceived exertion is next. To really know how to use rate of perceived exertion, you have to practice it. And what I mean by that is you have to go out there and you have to find a pedaling cadence and a pedaling power, how hard you're pushing on the pedals, and be able to use that to shift. Try to keep that energy level steady throughout the whole ride. The best way to do this now is a power meter. If you've ever watched Chris Froome out there in the Tour de France, he's not caring anything about what's going on around him as he's climbing those hills. He's watching his power meter. He's shifting his gears and he's using his knowledge of what he's doing and how he's riding to be able to climb at best using the right amount of power. What do you do with the power meter? You have a shift point. I watch my power meter as I'm going uphill. I watch it, and as the power starts to go up where I'm having to push harder to keep up the pace, I downshift into an easier gear, easier gear, easier gear, easier gear as I'm climbing up the hill. Now, this is the way you do it so you don't burn your legs up in the race. What's the perfect running shoe? Well, you know what? I have the answer. I know what the perfect running shoe is. So that's a lie. I don't know the perfect running shoe. What What I do know is a method you can use to find your perfect running shoe. How do we find out what our perfect running shoe is? Well, the best way to do this is to have a test called a gait test or a gait check. And what we're going to do in this is we're going to find ourselves a good quality triathlon or running shop that has a treadmill and has the video equipment to be able to check your run gait. In the videos farther into this, you can see some video taken when we did one of my athletes when we were trying to find out how his run gait was. So what we're looking for is to see if you are a pronator. What a pronator is when you come down and your foot strikes the ground and it starts to absorb, does your foot turn far to the inside? Pronate. Or do you hit and your foot go to the outside, which would be supinate? Or does it come down and absorb the blow to the ground in a nice squared up manner, which would be a neutral? The other thing we're going to be looking for is to see if you run, your foot hits at the forefoot, midsole, or a heel striker. We're going to try to find a shoe that will compensate for what your foot is doing as it strikes the ground. So we're going to take a look at this first video. In this first video, we're going to see a neutral shoe. What this is a special shoe that no arch support has, and you don't run in these shoes ever. They are dead flat shoes. And we'll set the runner on the treadmill for about 15 seconds, get to his perfect running pace, note the speed that he's running, and take about 15 or 20 seconds worth of video. Slow that video down, and we see how his foot is hitting on the treadmill, how the angle of his foot is, and get an idea of what shoes that we want to get him to try to make him a better runner and a safer runner on his knees and hips and body. As you can see, these neutral shoes have the green stripes on them, making it very easy to spot pronation, supination, heel strike. As you can see right there, heel strike with pronation. As he's holding right there, you can see that his ankle is turned to the inside. You can see the outside of his toes. Okay, so we took a look at that neutral shoe, and now we're going to look at the wall of shoes. You ever walk into a shoe store and there is just this massive wall of shoes? So many different brands, so many different styles within one brand. What that is each person needs a different type of shoe to get their run form at the best neutral point it could possibly be. So what we've done here is we've gone in and we've taken a look at it. You're seeing a video right now of the runner on the treadmill trying a shoe that was suggested to him to compensate for the issues that he may be having, or he has actually, in his run gait. So we're going to compare these side by side to take a look at how the first pair of shoes has compared to the neutral shoe. Now, in this second video, we're going to show another pair of shoes that he tried, all within the range of what he needed to get the pronation out of his step and get him to where he's comfortable in the shoes. The third video, again, we're doing the same thing, but we're going to compare these side by side with the neutral shoe, 4 different positions he has with the 4 different shoes. Finally made a decision on these shoes after about a half an hour of working, decided on the perfect pair of shoes for this runner. He was extremely happy that he went through this gait check, took the time, and found his perfect pair of running shoes. So the answer is, if you ask your friend what their perfect running shoe is, they may have a perfect shoe for them that will be a horrible shoe for you. If you ask a person in a retail store without the ability to do a gait check for you, they're going to sell you what they might be getting a kickback or an extra bonus on to sell these particular shoes. What you want to do, though, is you want to avoid things like that. And you want to get a gait check at a quality triathlon or a quality running store to get your perfect pair of shoes. What is low heart rate zone 2 running? How do I do low heart rate zone 2 running? 3, what do I need to do low heart rate zone 2 running right? Number 4, what's the benefits of low heart rate zone 2 running? And number 5, what's my different take on zone 2 low heart rate running? By now, you either already know what low heart rate zone 2 running is, or you're still on board because you want to know what low heart rate zone 2 running is because you heard about how the benefits of it. Well, what it is, it's a method of running that you're doing in a walk run, keeping your heart rate low, thus in the zone 2 area. Don't worry, I'll explain exactly what zone 2 is and how to get there. So, how do we do the low heart rate zone 2 run? First thing we have to do is we have to find out what your zone 2 is. With my athletes, I use a program called Training Peaks. And with Training Peaks, I do a testing series, and that gets me a maximum heart rate, a threshold heart rate. I plug it into the program, and it automatically calculates zone 2. Super easy. Not all of us have access to something that technical, so there's a math equation. But if you take this down, you can figure out a pretty close zone 2 for you. So here goes. What you're going to take is 180 minus your age. If you're just starting out and you're not a runner, you're going to minus 5 heartbeats off of that. If you work out 1 or 2 days a week, you're going to take 3 more heartbeats off of that. 3 to 6 stays the same. 7 or more, you're going to add 5 heartbeats to that. If you're 55 and over or 25 and under, you're going to add 5 more heartbeats to that. And if you're under 20, you're going to add 5 more. But here's the thing. What you're going to do then is you're going to, after you calculate your zone 2, you're going to now go out and do the run. And you're going to use a method called a run-walk method. And how I treat my athletes is I have them run 1 mile and walk 1 minute. But those guys are trained athletes. You can use a shorter run and a little longer walk, but you want to keep your heart rate in zone 2. So you don't want to make your walk so long that you go way down underneath that. So you want to walk about a minute at the most. Now, if your heart rate peaks up over anytime during the run, never go over. You're going to immediately start to walk. You're going to watch your heart rate on your watch till it comes back into zone, and then you're going to slowly work back up to speed. All right? So you are not going to go over that heart rate no matter what, especially toward the end of the run. If you have a lot left, you are going to remember never go over that heart rate. If you're a serious runner, get ready to be bored out of your mind. So I've got a couple of ideas on how you can do this and keep within that heart rate. First one would be do it on the treadmill on those. One of my favorites to do is to go and run trail. When you get out and run in the trails, you're going to run naturally slower, and that will keep your heart rate lower. So that's how you do the low heart rate zone 2 run walk. So now we know how to do it, but are we ready to do it? And what I mean by ready to do it is what are you going to need? If you're just starting out, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need a good pair of running shoes, but make sure that you have the right pair of running shoes for you. The next thing you're going to need a method to monitor your heart rate. I started out with a Garmin 925. I've moved up to a Garmin 935. The 935 has wrist-based heart rate and can do the job for you. It's a great triathlon watch. Heart rate, wrist-based, is not the greatest setup. Varying heart rate happens when the watch bounces on your wrist because it is optical, okay? It's optical, and that's not the best method of monitoring your heart rate. So I've added a heart rate strap. This is electronic. It checks your heart rate electrically. It is dead on the nose. Let me explain to you the benefits you get from this style of running. First, you're going to build capillaries in your muscles. And why you want to do that is because you want to be able to deliver as much blood as possible to your muscles. When you do this style of running, you're allowing your capillaries to grow, get stronger, get bigger, and be able to deliver more blood. If you run hard all the time, you're crushing those capillaries, delivering less blood, and your muscles are going to be weaker in the long run. You're going to increase your myoglobin, or the ability to carry more oxygen in your blood to your cells through those capillaries. You're going to increase your glycogen storage. Simplified, you're going to be able to hold more oxygen in your cells. You're going to build slow twitch fiber. So we're going to want to build this slow twitch fiber so that we're able to access that in the race and be able to run longer, because we now have more oxygen in the cells and we're getting more out of it by using our slow twitch fibers. Another thing is you're able to access fat for fuel. If you're out running hard all the time, your body is always going to be wanting to access carbohydrates for fuel. But now we're going to access fat, and we're going to burn fat for fuel by going long, slow, and you'll burn more fat. Pro athletes have adopted this method because there's less chance of injury. There's athletes out there who have been known to be injured all the time who are now not injured, and what they've done is they've adopted this low heart rate zone 2 running. And then when they get in a race, they're able to access all of what they've built up and be able to run faster, longer. And take a look right here. This is what I did after going 11 months of using this method. I have knocked this off of Challenge Daytona this year, and that is 7 minutes of this is off the run because I was able to run longer, faster. So most of the information I've given you so far is kind of out there. I've grabbed it out of different areas. I've done a lot of study on this. So I'm going to give you my take. Number one part of my take is, if you're out there running hard all the time, you can't work on your run form. You can't think about where your feet are, where they're striking the ground, where your hands are, how you're holding your hands. You can actually, on this walk-run system, work very, very hard on getting the best possible form, because as your form gets better, your speed will go up while maintaining the same heart rate. The second thing of my take is discipline. If you're running a half Ironman, an Ironman, a half marathon, a marathon, even a 10K, you guys have to have race discipline. To do the low heart rate zone 2 running, you have to build discipline. And you will build this discipline. And when you hit that race, as I tell my Ironman athletes, mile 18 of the run is coming. You have to follow the plan. If you follow this plan of low heart rate zone 2 running, you will be trained to follow a plan. In triathlon, we know there are 3 main disciplines: swim, bike, and run. But did you know that you should really train for 5 different disciplines? The 4th and the 5th discipline are nutrition, which we'll cover in a different video. In this video, we're going to cover how to pack for transition, what to pack for transition, and how to set up your transition. Get ready for some really great information. So what do we put in our transition support bag? First, we'll take a look. We got our actual transition bag here. I use a rucksack from the military. I've had it for years. It works really great. But there are plenty of bags out there on the market that you can use to pack your transition. There's several things that I pack in my transition bag that just stay there. First, I always use a pack of cable ties. I leave them in there. You never know. These things come in really handy for all kinds of different things when you're traveling and going to races. I keep garbage bags in there. That's in case of a wet race. I can cover up my transition area, keep my shoes, keep my equipment dry. A giant plastic bag that I use for wet stuff after the race. You don't want your stinky stuff mixing with your nice stuff. The last things I keep in my main bag are a headlamp. I love these little cap lights. I get them off of Amazon. I am an Amazon associate. Another item, a bungee cord. I use that in races where we're gonna leave the bike overnight. We put that there. And that's it for the main bag. Now, we're going to take a look at what we put in our string bag for support. For me, I put a big towel in that I put on the ground instead of a transition mat because it takes up less space. I take a bright towel that I put over the handlebars of my bike. That way I can see them as I run through transition. I have a regular towel. I don't like microfiber towels when I come out of the water and dry off. Jammy butter, Tri-Slide. Use this on all your exposed areas, anywhere that'll chafe. Really great stuff. Sunscreen and a bright towel that I put underneath my bike. That way when I come in off the bike, I can spot exactly where my transition spot is. All that goes in there. That's bag one. Next on our list that we're going to pack is the swim gear. Now, St. Anthony's is notoriously a question mark race when it comes to wetsuits. I will be bringing my wetsuit with me. I always use a full sleeve wetsuit, more buoyancy, and you get a little bit thicker on the arms, a little more pull through the water. It is always faster. Goggles. Make sure your goggles are packed. Make sure you clean your goggles before you pack them. This way, you're not going to be losing any vision. You're not going to have any solar flares from the sun as you're swimming along. I wear earplugs. I got these right here from TIR. They work good. I like them. And I'm also bringing my Roka Swim Skin. This is almost as fast as the wetsuit in the water. These items will go in the string bag, ready for the race. Now let's move on to the bike. Bike gear I try to keep as simple as possible, as well as all other gear. Never bring anything that you don't have to have in transition. Never leave yourself with a question mark. Do I want to use this or do I want to use this? Make all your decisions ahead of time and pack them for the race. In my bike bag, I have the essentials. I make sure I have my shoes packed. I make sure I check the cleats, make sure they're in good working order and not worn out. So we got our shoe. I have my helmet. I make sure again that the strap's good. I make sure that the clips are working fine, adjusted just the way I want it. I have socks. I always wear socks in a race. Rock Bros sunglasses, link below. I take foggies, put them in there. Foggies work great to keep your sunglasses and your swim goggles from fogging up. And I also have my nutrition. And what I have is my actual race nutrition here. Got my Bonk Breakers chews on one side, got my Salt Stick chews on the other, and I have a Bonk Breakers Bonk Bar, peanut butter and jelly, for before the race. And my Profile Design hydration. Keep 3 elastic bands on there. That's for hooking my shoes up and having them ready for a fast transition. Now when it comes to the run, I have, again, trying to keep it simple. I also have to remember that this is going to be a warm race by the time we get out and run. In my run bag, I have my calf sleeves, an extra pair of running socks, my Salt Stick hat, nice and cool, the all-important race belt. This is where you put your number on it. My running shoes, equipped with the quick laces. If it's really hot, I have this little, I call it a French Foreign Legion tail right there. I put that on, and that allows the ice that I'll put in the hat to melt down onto my shoulders, where I will have a cool towel around my neck that will absorb that water, run it around my neck, down my front. Great cooling for the race. Get all that packed up and ready to go to the race. Last but not least is my morning bag. What I have in that, put my heart rate monitor and the kit that I'm going to wear in the race, along with maybe a t-shirt to wear over it, which will be this one right here. Pack those up and have that ready to go for ease in finding it and being ready to go on race morning. last but definitely not least is packing your main bag. And this is really important, the order that you put items into the bag when it comes to race morning and you're taking it out. You want to make as little stress for yourself in setting up transition as you can. The first thing you're going to use is going to be your wetsuit. So we're going to pack that first in my bag, last out. Now the next item you're going to use is your run bag. So you're going to take and put your run bag in, get it set up right there in your bag. Then you're going to use your bike bag, put that in, make sure your helmet is safe, ready to go. Then you're going to put your swim bag in. You're going to put your support bag in. And last but not least, right on top of your transition bag is your race morning bag. So there you go. That's how you set up your transition bag and have it ready for the race. Do this a couple of days ahead of time. Take the stress off by having it done. And that's one less thing you have to worry about transitioning for your race. So my goal for this video was actually to show you my transition at the race. But as you can see here, I ended up in a really bad spot in the race. It was dark, I couldn't get a good shot. So what I've had to do is I've had to come home and I've had to repack my transition bag, and I'm going to create for you right now my transition and go through quick T1 and a T2 for practice. So here we go. We've gotten to transition, and what we need to do is you need to set up now for the quickest and most efficient transition we can do. And how we're going to do that is we're going to go in, we're going to unload our string bags that we loaded up earlier. Right now we're going to open up, and you'll see that our first string bag coming out is going to be our support products. We grab our support items. The first thing I do is I take my bright yellow towel, I put it up underneath my bike. What I do that for is so that when I come in out of T2, I can see where my bike is going to go in the rack without any real issues. Then we're going to take and set up a mat to be able to sit on in transition. I have a towel here that I hang over my handlebars. That way I can grab that when I get into transition, wipe my face off, do whatever I need to do with the salt water. I have my Solar RX sunscreen, and I have my chamois butter, and I have whatever you're using for anti-chafe. First string bag down. Our second string bag that's going to come out is going to be our run string bag. The reason we're taking them out in this order is because we want to have a quick and easy setup. The first thing that comes out, my run hat. I use my Salt Stick run hat, great product. Links down below for all the products that you'll see in this. Put my hat down, and I put my run number down where I've crunched up my number so it doesn't make that pounding sound. And then right on top of those go my shoes with my elastics preset. Right on top of those, the reason I put them on top of those is to keep them from blowing away if it's a windy day. Now you also want to make sure when you set up your transition, you want to set up everything in the order that it's going to go in. No sideways, no backwards. Your feet are going to go in this way. That's the direction you want your shoes in. I take my calf sleeves and I blouse them. What I mean by blouse is we're going to take them and we're going to crunch them down. We're going to crunch them down like this so that they go on very, very easy. My extra pair of socks, I always carry an extra pair of socks, and I also have my cool towel. Now, if it's a hot day, I'll actually have my cool towel in a cooler right here at the end. I'll actually sometimes put the hat and the race belt in so I can just reach in, grab all the ice cold stuff, throw it on in transition. Next out of the box is our bike. Out comes our helmet, unstrap, and make sure that the straps are the right length, have them spread apart so they go on really, really easy. Again, in the order and in the angle that you're gonna put it on. I always wear a headband, I sweat heavy, I put that in next. And I take my sunglasses out, have my sunglasses out. Open your sunglasses, don't close them up, don't put them down. Open your sunglasses, put them in your helmet like that. And I have my nutrition all elastic banded up into one little pack there. Easy to grab, stick in your back pocket and go. That goes in the bike helmet. Then you got the bike shoes go next. They come out here, strapped open, ready to go. And my main socks, we're gonna have those bloused here, ready to go on. There's a left and a right. I make sure they're on the correct sides. I learned this the hard way. You make sure you take this towel and you cover up your sunglasses, your helmet, because what will happen is in the morning, you'll throw your glasses on, you will get fogged up sunglasses. That's our ride ready to go. Last but not least comes out just before you're done is your swim bag. I have my swim skin, the cap assigned to you at the race, and my goggles. Last thing I do before I go out for the swim. I'll apply my sunscreen, I'll apply a quality amount of my chamois butter, I'll put my Glide or my Tri-Slide everywhere it needs to be to stop chafing. Well, that's it, folks. That's a simple setup, really easy. Came out of the bag, nothing missing, ready to go racing. Now, let's take a look at how we can get through transition. What I hate to see and really don't like is when I see a athlete put in a forum or in a group, hey, I'm 2 weeks out from my Ironman. What should I eat? What should I drink? That's too late. Got to plan from day one. Are you ready to set your nutrition plan? So what is it all about? Planning your nutrition. You can't practice an Ironman, but you can practice your Ironman nutrition plan. When you're going to build a nutrition plan, you want to build your nutrition plan from day one. You have to train your body to take in the nutrients and to process the nutrients, just as important as swim, bike, and run. Can you train your gut? Yes, you can do it. It isn't that hard, but it takes a long time and it takes practice. One of the things you can do, and one of the most important things you can do, is to create a log. Keep track of exactly what you're taking in, what the product is you're using, what your intake is, when it was during the ride or during the run, and that'll help you set up your nutrition plan. Truly, that plan has to come together over a length of time. You could try certain products, and certain products may work for you, but other products may not work. For me, maltodextrin is a gut bomb. That's the Gatorade Endurance that they use on the course. I just can't take it, so I have to have something different. The basic outline that you're going to use, and this is your starting point. This is not your finish point. When you start training, you want to have these metrics in mind that you can adjust as your training goes farther and farther and farther along to eventually bring you to the best possible nutrition plan on race day. What does our basic outline show us? Number one, we need to replace about 50% of our calories burned during our race. The average person is going to burn somewhere between 350 and 700 calories an hour. You really truly can't take in just as many calories as you're going to burn, because you would just fill yourself up. You turn yourself into a person who spent more time in the porta potty than you took and spent on the run. We want to look at having between 60 and 90 grams of carbs per hour. Carbs are important. Carbs are what fuels your brain. You get kind of foggy if you don't have the carb intake and the right number of carbs. So we got to find the items that you can add to you that give you the right carbs, that don't give you the gut bomb, the GI distress. You want to add 24 to 36 ounces of hydration per hour. We're going to go a little bit heavier on the bike than you will on the run. It's much easier to process on the bike than the run. You're going to add between 600 and 1,000 milligrams of electrolyte. You may be getting that here in your hydration. You may be getting that with your energy gels. I'm a heavy sweater, but I don't sweat a lot of salt. How you can tell if you sweat a lot of salt, if you run or you bike and when you're finished and you have salt marks on your kit. Some people sweat so much salt, they'll actually get salt crystallization on their eyebrows and in their hair. That would be a person that needs to be upward in that 1,000 milligram range. Or you get someone like me. I don't lose a lot of salt in my sweat. I stick between the 600 and 700 milligram range. Then there's the option of caffeine. 3 to 6 milligrams per kilo is what is suggested for the race. Where are you going to get electrolyte, calories, and carbs from? You're going to get them from outside sources. Now, I personally am going to use for my carbohydrates, I'll use Bonk Breaker Chews. This is going to add glucose into my system, where I'm going to be able to use that as an energy source. Other things we'll use the Muirton gels. Muirton gels are on the course, but you also may use something like a goo product, which is a maltodextrin based, or something like a Huma gel or a honey stinger, which use natural ingredients. I also add, to get my calories, I'll take in a Bonk bar as I go through the ride, and I'll use salt stick electrolytes. I've been using these since training for my second Ironman because I had problems in my first Ironman, and that's how I found out the maltodextrin doesn't work for me. I want to talk to you guys about an example. It was 50 miles at 2 hours and 34 minutes, 1,404 calorie burn, or 547 calories per hour. So that's what I'm looking to replace. My goal would be to replace 575 calories with the nutrition plan that I did. And I'm going to explain the nutrition plan that I actually did. 1 pack of the Bonk Breaker Fast Chews. This gave me 8 grams of sugar, 140 calories, and 18 grams of carbs. That putting this into 2 separate intakes, one earlier and one later. I took 1 Muirton gel, 100 calories, 25 grams of carbs, and 25 grams of sugar. I know a lot of people are going to say you don't want to eat sugar yet, but this is not white processed sugar. This is more natural sugar that we're using, and mostly glucose based. Then I took 2 26-ounce bottles of the electrolyte mix with 1 scoop of Carbo Pro. Carbo Pro is straight glucose. It adds 100 calories to whatever you're drinking, just a way to bump your calories to get some more of your fuel. Now that added 220 calories intake, 106 grams of carbs, and 726 milligrams of electrolytes. So that would be what I took in on my 50-mile ride. So my goals were 575 calories per hour coming in, 150 grams total carbohydrates, 65 ounces of fluid, and 1,800 milligrams of electrolytes. How did I do? I brought in 485 calories. I was short on my calories by about 90 calories for that ride. Now, what I would do in a race, and if that's when I take in Bonk Breaker bar, I'll eat one of those at about 30 miles. Now, if I'm doing an Ironman race, I'm going to eat one of these at mile 30, mile 60, and mile 90. Front load a little bit of calories for the Ironman distance marathon run. The second item, as we were looking for, is 150 grams of carbs. What did I get? 151 grams of carbs. This is a program that I've used for years. I am using Salt Stick products and Bonk Breaker products. I really appreciate them backing me up a little bit on my channel. We're looking for 65 ounces of hydration being brought in. How did I do on that one? 60. I missed a little bit on my fluid intake. I'm looking for 1,800 milligrams of sodium. How did I do on that one? 872 milligrams of sodium. I missed taking in my sodium. So what I did is I missed a little bit. But in a race, I will take a gel and sodium, this gel and sodium every 15 minutes or so, giving me about 30-35 minutes between each gel, 30-35 minutes between each electrolyte tab. A lot of people will say, I can't eat solid food when I'm racing. This is a big mistake. This is why we train our gut. We train our nutrition. You have to be able to take in solid food because your body, first off, is going to eventually be craving the solid food. And it's a fast way to get in more calories. How do you do that? You find something that you can eat, whether it's the Bonk Breaker bar or some other product, but you got to find something that you can eat, because in a half Ironman race, you're pretty much going to be missing 2 meals. And in an Ironman race, you're pretty much going to miss 3 full meals plus. for the average age grouper. And that's who I talk to. I talk to the average age grouper. I'm not out here trying to teach a pro or somebody who's going to go out there and qualify for Kona. I want to teach you guys how to make this thing work for you. I want to talk to you about what I would take as the basic outline and how I would implement that to get this. We got our basic outline, placing our calories, we got our carbs, our hydration, our electrolytes. We got an example of how all that stuff came together. I would say to start with something of this nature and then move from there. Well, let's go to my suggestion. How are we going to make this work? First off, we're going to do a log. We're going to log everything that we do on our nutrition and write it down and be able to make adjustments as it goes. We're going to practice. And what I mean by practice is what we're going to eat the night before the race, the dinner before the race. We want to practice that the night before any of our long rides or long runs. I'm going to give you a myth. There's a myth out there. The myth is called carbo loading, and where you're going to load up on a whole bunch of carbohydrates the day before the race. Your body can only hold in its cells so much carbohydrates. And what's going to happen is if you try to carbo load, your body's not going to be able to process it all, and it's going to come back out again. If you don't want to over carbo load, because it just doesn't really work. Should you not eat carbs before the race? No, I didn't say that. You're not going to go overboard with your carbo loading. Breakfast. Breakfast is incredibly important. There's a lot of people out there who are saying, I'm not a breakfast eater. You need to be a breakfast eater. The advertising is breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Guess what? They're not lying. That's where you're getting your fuel. That's where you're getting your first hit of calories. That's where you're getting your first hit of carbohydrates. That's where you're drinking your coffee, where you're going to get a little kick of the caffeine to get you fired up and get you moving and get you grooving. You're going to eat that approximately an hour before your swim, before your workout, but you're going to practice that breakfast. You're going to practice your dinner. You're going to practice your breakfast. You're going to get those down to where they are like clockwork. Now, when you get out there and you're going to do a long swim, you're going to start off just like you would prior to the race. You're going to take a gel before the start of the swim. Well, what you want to do is you want to take that gel about 15 minutes before you hit the pool or hit the open water so that your body gets used to how it feels to have that gel in your stomach to start the swim. You're also going to take that gel before the swim because you're now going to be fasting for, in a half Ironman, if you're fast, 30 minutes. If you're average, 45 to 50 minutes, and you could be as long as an hour to an hour and 20 minutes without having any intake of fuel whatsoever. You want to be fueled up as best you possibly can. That segues right into the start of the bike. You're going to take a gel when you start on your bike. Start killing that fast as soon as you possibly can. You want to do that every single bike ride you do. What? I don't need a gel right at the beginning of the bike ride. Actually, you want to do that because you want to take in your gel right off the bat on that bike, and you want your body to be used to it. This is all about training your nutrition. But here comes the hack. Your last bottle on the bike, you're going to take in water. Now, if it's a half Ironman, you could do half a bottle. Ironman, definitely your last bottle, you want to take in water. You've been eating gels, hard food, tablets, and you've got all this stuff in your stomach. You want to almost like dilute that and let your body absorb that before you get out there and start working hard on the run. Now, you want to take your first segment of the run, you want to do that fasting. You're going to go to the first aid station without drinking, without eating. You want to get your system cleared out, and then you can move on to your nutrition plan for the run. Here's the important part. This is the part that's the super secret. This is my run hack. And what you're going to do is you want to split all of your fuel sources. You want to split your hydration, electrolytes, you want to split your carbohydrates and your intake of calories. You now are in a situation where the weather can make a monster difference in how you do on the run. So when you have your fuel split, so I'm working with the Mutant gels to split my electrolytes. I'm going to carry a pack or two of salt stick electrolyte. If you're doing a Ironman, you're going to put these in your special needs bag at halfway at the half Ironman. One package should do you. You might need to use this. This is electrolyte tablets. The tablets are great because some of them have caffeine, some are buffered. You can find the right combination for you. We're going to not carry water. The last thing you want to do is carry a Camelback. Why? Camelback is going to be 7 to 9 pounds of extra weight laying high on your back. You do not want to carry all that extra weight for that distance. Some people who are doing Ironman racing or half Ironman racing worry, is there going to be enough to drink on the run course? You know what? There is. There's going to be an aid station between a mile and a mile and a half, all the way through an Ironman or half Ironman race. But here's the way this is going to work. You're going to actually run from aid station to aid station. There's nothing behind you, and there's nothing after an aid station. You're going to go aid station to aid station to aid station. When you get to the aid station, that's when you're going to take in your nutrition, and you're going to take in water. Regardless of temperature, carbohydrate need doesn't really fluctuate much at all. So you're going to be able to take in at the same rate regardless of the temperature. But when it comes to hydration and electrolytes, if you are in a cool race or even a cold race, you're not going to need anywhere near the amount of electrolytes. You can actually overtake electrolytes. And if you leave them in the sports drink, you're going to not be able to adjust on the fly. You want to be able to adjust on the fly. You want to be able to take more electrolytes in and more liquid in on a hotter race when you're going to be sweating a lot, and less on a race where you're in the cooler or colder weather, and you can adjust that on the fly. That's the big thing about that hack. Get your hydration at the aid stations, and that will get you through the race in the best possible way you can. What we're gonna do, we're gonna follow our basic outline. You're gonna build your own example, and you're going to follow a plan that you're going to build along the way. Today's workout assignment is this. It's a brick workout. I am doing a indoor workout because Ironman Blue Ridge has mostly hills on the ride. And being from Florida, we don't have so much hills. So I've chosen a Zwift ride called Climber's Gambit in Wautovia, 17.3 miles, 2,199 feet of climbing. Take me about an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15 minutes. And then I'm gonna do a 5K run after that. Well, hi everybody, and welcome back to another one of my videos that I'm showing you an actual workout that I'm doing and getting ready for Ironman Blue Ridge 70.3, and in a few more weeks I'll be doing the Florida State Olympic Distance Championships. Today is one of my staples. This is something that I assign in every training plan, right from my 10 for $10 sprint triathlon training plans all the way up to my fully coached athletes. And this is a low heart rate zone 2 run. And how you do this is where we're gonna run 1 mile and then walk 1 minute. We're gonna take in any nutrition we're gonna use on the 1 minute of the walk. This way it simulates the distances between the aid stations. And on today's workout, I'm using something that's becoming very integral in my training, and that's Zwift. What I'm going to do today is I am going to do a hill workout in Florida. And the only way I can do a serious hill workout in Florida is by going on Zwift and riding virtual hills. Well, I've got my smart trainer set up, and now let's take a look at what we're gonna have to do to get Zwift set up to go. Successful login, and we're heading over. We're gonna see our power source is connected, heart rate monitor connected, and my controllable device connected, and we're getting ready to ride. So we're gonna go here to Wautovia, Climber's Gambit, 17.3 miles, and 2,199 feet. This is going to be a pretty tough workout. It should take me a little over an hour, and we're going to get ready to go, and then we'll hit ride and off we go. I'll be right back and let you know how it. Thank you for working your way through the JS Coaching Systems free triathlon course. I hope you found some really great information in this course. But remember, it is sponsored by JS Coaching Systems 10 for $10 Sprint Triathlon Training Plan or 10 for $15 Olympic Triathlon Training Plans. You can find the links down in the description below. Check out this video right here because you're ready to go racing, but you may need an indoor trainer to get the job done. This is Coach John. Thank you for watching. Boom, I'm out.